You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. New target. Harry is the intimate partner primary source of Harry's wife. That means that the dynamic between him and her follows a particular course. She draws him in, seduces him. He gets a golden period. Then he's devalued. He enters the sustained devaluation. This always happens in the dynamic between a narcissist and an intimate partner primary source. Thereafter, either the victim escapes, the narcissist more likely disengages, or neither of those things happen and there is a roller coaster ride until one of the parties dies. I've explained the most likely outcome for Harry is that he's disengaged from. But during the sustained devaluation, this is when the narcissist invariably cheats on the victim. This is because two things are at work. The first is, because the intimate partner primary source is painted black because of the sustained devaluation, it in essence affords the narcissist the belief that they're allowed to go and cheat because the victim in effect made them. The victim has let them down. The victim is horrible to them. The victim is unpleasant. The victim has cheated themselves, and therefore, why shouldn't I be able to find some happiness? The overriding mindset is that the victim is the one that has caused the problem, and therefore that provides the validation and justification for the narcissist to cheat. The second reason is that the narcissism may well be compelling the narcissist to seek out a replacement. Often people ask, HG, when the person enters sustained devaluation, why doesn't the narcissist just get rid of them if they're deemed to be no good? The point is, they're not deemed to be no good, they're deemed to be painted black. And the narcissist doesn't get rid of them because if they did, that would present them with a huge problem. They wouldn't have an intimate partner primary source. Now, there are instances where the narcissist is forced into such a position, and I write about that and explain it further in Pipelines, Understanding the Narcissist's Fuel Matrix and Understanding Changes to the Narcissist's Fuel Matrix, which you'll find in the Knowledge Vault. But more usually what happens is that the narcissist seeks out a replacement. Think of it this way. Imagine an aeroplane flying a very long distance and it starts to run low on fuel. It won't let that happen. It needs to ensure that another aeroplane pulls up alongside to refuel it in mid-air so it can continue the journey. That's essentially what the narcissist does. As the narcissism recognizes that this person is viewed as traitorous and treacherous, it may well cause the narcissist to seek out a potential replacement. And as that potential replacement demonstrates that they're under control and that they attend to the fuel needs, character trait needs, and residual benefit needs of the narcissist effectively, the narcissism then says, you can now jettison the existing intimate partner primary source and promote this secondary source to become your new intimate partner primary source. If the narcissist jettisoned the incumbent, that would mean that they would have a huge hole in the fuel matrix. There'd be a massive amount of fuel that would just vanish. They would potentially lose character traits and residual benefits. Instead, the narcissism needs to ensure that there is a replacement on hand before that jettisoning occurs. Accordingly, as a consequence of both these reasons, this is why a narcissist invariably ends up cheating. In their mind, it's justified, and the narcissism is causing them to seek out a potential replacement before jettison occurs. Just because a narcissist is having an affair, that does not mean that the jettison will occur. it just raises the likelihood of it occurring, because sometimes the person that the narcissist is having an affair with just isn't deemed a suitable appointment, or replacement rather. They're excellent in terms of remaining a secondary source. They're relatively easy to control. They're providing fuel, some character traits, some residual benefits, but the narcissism doesn't think that they are of the grade of primary source. So they are kept as a secondary source, and it might be that they're popped on the shelf and the narcissist goes and has an affair with somebody else in order to find that replacement. Having explained all of that background, which is important for you to understand the dynamic to make sense of the situation between Harry and his wife, this raises the possibility that Harry's wife is or will seek out an affair partner. She believes it's justified because Harry has in effect let her down, mistreated her, however you want to phrase it, and her narcissism is compelling her to find a potential replacement. The rumour that has been sent my way, and it's no more than that, is that it potentially could be David Foster. For those of you who don't know who he is, and I'd never heard of him prior to him coming up in the context of Harry's wife, David Walter Foster, born on the 1st of November 1949, is a Canadian musician, composer, arranger, record producer, and music executive who chaired Verve Records from 2012 to 2016. He has won 16 Grammy Awards from 47 nominations. His music career spans more than 5 decades, mainly beginning in the early 1970s as a keyboardist for the pop group Skylark. And apparently he's worth somewhere in the region of $150 million. What's also interesting is he has a rather colourful history himself when it comes to intimate partners. He was involved with somebody called B.J. Kirk, who is just described as divorced. Then Rebecca Dyer, who he married in 1982 and divorced in 1986. Linda Thompson, who he married in 1991 and divorced in 2005. Yolanda Hadid, who he married in 2011 and divorced in 2017. And he's currently married to Catherine McPhee. So there is a history of numerous marriages that have taken place in the past, which suggests a certain course of conduct in regard to Mr. Foster, which might tell us something about what he is. That he might be an individual that has no problems at all having multiple marriages. And whilst I've not put him under the Tudor scope, it raises the possibility that he might be a narcissist also. I will say no more than that at this juncture, that it's a possibility. You will probably be aware that David Foster was described as a second father to Harry when Harry and Harry's wife first moved to California. And therefore, Harry's wife, of course, knows Mr. Foster, and Mr. Foster knows her. As I explained, the rumour has been issued that she's having an affair, or rather that he is having an affair, and the suggestion is, could it be Harry's wife? Absent any actual evidence that confirms that the case, we can only enter the realms of possibility, but once again, we are aided by circumstantial evidence and the nature of the narcissist. The circumstantial evidence is simply he has had a lot of marriages and therefore he's not one that is evidently prone to a long, stable relationship. Furthermore, there's a possibility that he's a narcissist, which means that cheating on his current spouse is something that would come naturally to him if he is a narcissist. With regard to the dynamic, we know that there is trouble in paradise, that all is not well in Monty Shitshow. This has been detailed repeatedly. We also know that Harry's wife is a narcissist. And therefore, for the reasons that I've just explained, with the absence of emotional empathy, a sense of entitlement, and a lack of accountability, she regards Harry as a problem, therefore has no hesitation in cheating on him, and that her narcissism would be compelling her to find a replacement. Remember, the individual needs to be easy to control. Now, assuming he's another narcissist, you may think, well, would he be easy enough to control? In the beginning, with the 2 golden periods that they'd be giving one another, the answer would be yes, although it would fall apart fairly quickly were the two to couple. But the point is that if an affair is taking place, if both are narcissists, easy enough to control. She's giving him plenty of spicy poontang, which then accords with him deeming that she's under control. And similarly, he's meeting up with her, flattering her, maybe spending money on her, which all demonstrates that he's under control, which is part of the way that he's asserting control over her. They're both treating one another in a benign fashion, with the consequence that they both actually give control to the other. It's all working out. Neither would have any compulsion, if both narcissists, on cheating on their partners, and therefore it's a distinct possibility that it could happen. Control is afforded. Fuel would be provided by both of them to the other. Remember, they both have primary sources, he Catherine McPhee, her Harry, and therefore the fuel that's required from them isn't going to be massive. Character traits, there will be some that are provided, but of course a big thing for Harry's wife would be the issue of money, the potential to get money out of him, because he's wealthier than Harry, and we know that she's got money concerns. Now, of course, this is all in the realms of speculation. It's merely been suggested that he's having an affair, and it may well be with Harry's wife, because there is a connection between the two. They know one another. But it's a useful opportunity to examine the possibility that this is occurring and help you understand more about the way that a narcissist behaves vis-à-vis their existing primary source and how they would behave with regard to a potential affair with another narcissist. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.